All right, there was an emergency meeting next. We'll pick it up a little bit here, the tempo. An emergency meeting of Matt Hardy, Andre Olio, Private Party, the Butcher and the Baker, and good old Jose. And the emergency meeting is because Matt is trying to smooth everything up. Suddenly, Matt Hardy is talking like a normal person.
Yeah.
And a baby face. Just out of nowhere. He's not talking about taking 30% of people's money, or he's not teleporting himself, or he's not talking in a fucking weird accent, or he's not doing any of the goofy things that he's done for the last couple of years. Suddenly, for what reason, we have no idea, he's a regular, reasonable, normal babyface Matt Hardy, speaking to them reasonably. So, of course, every single person in the entire group, including the people that he's had from the start, immediately turn on him and are following Andre Olio, who cannot speak any language whatsoever. English, Spanish, German, Japanese, the fucking Eskimo. They all... What? Go ahead.
You have mentioned that I like some of the awful things in wrestling. I get a perverse joy out of them. Andrade on the mic has hit that level. And this week he was just ridiculous and I started losing it. I was laughing so hard
It's like...
I didn't know what the hell he was trying to say. But then the way he tries to enunciate it makes it so much funnier.
He's trying really hard to clearly enunciate those words that we don't understand. He sounds like, he makes the Elephant Man sound like James Earl Jones. I'm not an animal. I'm a human being. So they all jump. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 guys jump Matt Hardy, and they're kicking the shit out of him.
They hold out their thumbs for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, they held their...
He turns around to see.
Gave Matt the thumbs up when he was looking at him, and then he turns his back, and they give him the thumbs down, and they hold their arms there like they're petrified. But did you love it how when there's 6 guys beating the shit out of Matt Hardy, and music plays, and here comes Darby Allin and Sting, and they are walking slowly, casually down to the ring, and the heels are just continuing to beat on this fucking guy. I know that Darby and Sting have not been friends with Matt Hardy recently because Matt Hardy's been a heel, but if you're going to do it, do it. If you're going to come help, come help. Don't fucking just like leave the guy twisting in the wind. Well, we'll get down there eventually. They'll beat all of his fucking balls out and, eviscerate his pancreas by the time we get there. But as it turned out, once they got there, they were pretty immediately stopped anyway. The heels just stopped them too, Darby and Sting, and they start kicking the shit out of them. So then we hear the music, and apparently, and I did not know that this was the case, but apparently the Hardy Boys music in the WWE is generic music that they didn't write in-house, and they were able to get the rights for it because it's licensable, and they're playing the old Hardys theme music from the WWE program.
That was pretty cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And there's the music, and of course, Jeff comes out. He has to dance a little before he goes and helps his brother.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. You're talking about Darby and Sting walking to the ring. Jeff's coming out to save his brother and these other guys, and he just starts dancing in the middle of the run-in.
But he didn't dance long. And then he got in the ring, and he made a comeback, and then, at the point where he makes the comeback and all the heels bump out except for the Baker. And the Baker is in there. He's going to feed all the baby faces. He takes a shot from Jeff, and he takes a shot from Matt. He takes a shot from Darby. He goes over to feed Sting. Sting's sitting in the corner with his back to the turnbuckles. And the Baker goes over and fucking staggers over to feed Sting. And Sting just looks up at him like, fuck you. He didn't get up and hit him. And then they set him up for a swanton by Jeff Hardy. So that's how they did it. The Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff Hardy, have now been reunited to face who? The Butcher and the Baker? Private Party? One of them's hurt, Mark Quinn, I think. Andre Olio and Jose? Fucking hell. It's like they got 15 minutes notice. Hey, Jeff's going to be here. Okay, let's do something. They've had 3 months, right? And they wasted this now. Poorly thought out, poorly laid out, a rotten underneath heel group, a boring angle except for Jeff's debut, which they were going to pop on no matter what. They reunited the Hardy Boys to work with job guys. And as I said, they've had, because what was his no compete, 90 days? So they had 3 months. Okay. Oh, God damn it. It's already snowing and I haven't fed the deer or pulled the truck in the garage.
Okay, what do you need to do?
Looks like the deer ain't going to get fed tonight. I just looked out the window. Anyway, so the point is they reunited the Hardy Boys in this fashion. The Hardys are not going to ever be over any more than they are right now. They're not going to start out now and work real hard and put their noses to the grindstone and get some good wins and climb the ladder and become stars. They already did that years ago. Now you're trading on nostalgia, fond memories, and borrowed time. And you don't need to start them at the bottom and work them up. You need to start them at the top because time and fucking indifference may work them down to the bottom. They've had 3 months to know that Jeff was leaving, and they've also had some time to know that he didn't fail that fucking drug test that the WWE ran him off about. And obviously they're talking to his brother. He works there. You can't mean to tell me that when this thing looked like it was a thing that could happen, the Hardys getting back together, that they didn't immediately have Matt Hardy come out and tell his crew of job guys, you know what? I don't know what I've been thinking. I've got a lot of shit going on. I've reevaluated my priorities. Instead of trying to hornswoggle you guys out of money or whatever the fuck, I've got shit going on in my family now. And I need some time to think and reevaluate what I've been doing and maybe change some things. And you guys here, your contracts, tear them up. You're free to go. Fly away. I got bigger fish to fry. I've got troubles. I don't know whether I'm going to continue wrestling or not. And then you've got several weeks for Matt Hardy to make the veiled references about wanting to put family first, like they just did with the fake angle, and reevaluating his priorities and how does he want to leave his legacy. And if he only had one more chance for him and somebody really close to him to leave a lasting legacy, a positive impression, no more screwy things that he's doing, Matt Hardy and AEW, and no more accusations that are being made about my unfounded accusations about my family members. We're going to set this right. And everybody, okay, Jeff's coming, right? The Hardy Boys are going to reunite. And they're going to be the old Hardy Boys because Matt's got his head clear again. What about if last week, Matt, and forget about all this other fucking hoo-ha that they're doing with the Hardly Boys and their 3-way tag team ladder matches and all that bullshit. Nobody cares anyway. What about if last week Matt Hardy had come out and said, I want to talk to somebody because I've been talking to Tony Khan for the past few weeks, and he doesn't want to bring my brother Jeff to AEW. And he wouldn't tell me why, and finally I got him out last night after the matches or whatever, and I put a couple of drinks in him, and I got the truth. The truth is that Tony Khan will not sign my brother Jeff Hardy to come here to AEW on the advice of 2 of his executive vice presidents, the people that he relies on to give him proper advice, and those 2 guys are named Matt and Nick Jackson. And I'd like to have them walk their rabbit ass down to the ring right now and tell me to my face why they told Tony Khan not sign my brother Jeff. And here comes the Hardly Boys, skipping and bopping down to the ring, and they got those smarmy looks on their fucking little faces. And this is where them being obnoxious children gets more heat. Because they can get those looks on their faces and they can go, well, you know, here's the thing, Matt. We advised our friend Tony not to sign your brother because your brother's unreliable. And your brother's got a checkered past. And your brother is one of those weak-minded, weak-willed individuals that falls prey to addictions. Not like us, because our parents raised us right. We're good Christians. We have faith. We don't abuse substances. We don't go out and get pussy. Fuck girls. They can't say that even though it's true. We don't have addictions. We don't have problems like that. We're fine Christian men, and we only want upstanding citizens here on the talent roster in AEW, and your brother's too much of a risk. He's a public relations nightmare. Yeah, well, just look, his previous employer ran him off because he wouldn't go to rehab. Yeah, motherfucker, his previous employer ran him off because he wouldn't go to rehab because he didn't need to and he didn't flunk the drug test. And I'll tell you exactly what you two are doing, and everybody else can see it. You're Hardy Boy wannabes, you always have been. Since the first day you stepped foot off your trampoline and stepped in a wrestling ring, you've wanted to be me and Jeff. And now because you got a guy who didn't have enough experience to know who to listen to, that for whatever reason you're in his ear, you don't want the competition. You don't want the real Hardy Boys around because you're nothing but the Hardly Boys. And boom, here's the super kicks. And they kick the shit out of Matt. In a serious, I know they can't carry, well, this is not ever going to happen anyway. And I know they can't carry off anything serious, the Cucamonga kids. But if they kicked the shit out of Matt in a serious fashion and had some people come out and try to pull him off and get him stopped, and they'd be saying, yeah, we're going to tell Tony about you guys too. And Matt gets carried out on a fucking stretcher, busted open from asshole to appetite. And the following week on TV, the Hardly Boys, Matt and Nick, they come out and they have a match and they beat somebody, hopefully quickly, so we don't have to see too much of their wrestling. And then Matt Hardy comes out and says, hey, he's got a bandage on his head. Maybe he's got a fucking arm in a sling or whatever. Think you did a good job last week. Well, I didn't need to talk to Tony Khan about this week. I just needed to talk to Delta Airlines about a flight from North Carolina. So, Matt and Nick, your worst nightmare is about to begin. And let Jeff Hardy, the daredevil that he is, fucking rappel like Shawn Michaels at the WrestleMania in Anaheim from the back of the building into the ring and start kicking the shit out of the Hardly Boys. And Matt Hardy throws his sling off and gets in the ring and fucking joins them. And they do a nice little fucking four-way. And Matt and Nick get run off. And that's when Matt Hardy sits down in the ring with the microphone and his brother and says, now, Tony Khan, you may be listening to them because you don't know any better, but now you're going to listen to me. You're going to sign my brother Jeff, or me and Jeff aren't leaving this ring on your live television program. This is a sit-down strike. And do any of you fans want to see us leave before Jeff gets signed? And is anybody in the back going to be able to make us? And that's when Tony Khan comes out. Instead of wasting it on the Ring of Honor announcement that he dropped like a turd on a plate, he said, all right, if it means this much to you and I don't agree with what they did to you last week, and I've got a problem with Matt and Nick myself because they've gone too far, and you know what? All right, Jeff Hardy, on one condition, you'll be signed to AEW Wrestling, and that condition is the first Hardy Boys match is going to be against the Young Bucks. Ah! Or they could do what they just did. What do you think, Brian?
No, I think Jeff Hardy dancing during a run-in to save his brother Matt from Andrade, his assistant, one half a private party, and the butcher and the baker was a much better idea. And obviously it took much more time to conceive and put together, and you're probably not really paying enough attention to the nuances.
It actually took me 10 minutes in the garage this morning to think of what I just said, but I'm opening this White Claw for you, Tony Khan. Brilliant job on the Hardys.
You are not drinking a White Claw.
Of course I'm not.
But if you really think about it, they started teasing it. Remember, I don't even remember what the match was. Matt Hardy jumped the rail and started walking through the fans just like Jeff did. So that was really the beginning of the tease. And then, like you said, and I've killed Matt Hardy for his subpar work for a while, despite what he had to argue about and how stupid it all was, this was the best he's been on the mic.
Yes.
Since that promo after he got a concussion.
The last time that he started acting like a real human being for 1 week.
Yeah.